This is the Retirement Bullpen with Richard Warner. The team at Warner Financial Solutions want to help you feel confident about your retirement, no matter where you stand. Get more at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. Now, the Retirement Bullpen.
So last episode, you heard us talking about 401ks and whether or not those are going to be around, 10 years from now. There are economists that feel like that they should be abolished to help out Social Security when it comes to the governmental side of things and how it affects your taxes. This is the Retirement Bullpen with Richard Warner of Warner Financial Solutions. My name is Jeff Miles. Richard, as we were talking about in that last episode about 401ks, we kind of got a little bit into making sure that you're paying attention to what's happening with your 401k. Some of the biggest mistakes, and this was actually a really good article in 401kmaneuver.com. They're talking about some of the most common mistakes that people have when it comes to their 401k and how to prevent those. But I want to start with this question. When it comes to your 401k, I would say many people, as I look back on my different jobs and careers and, you sign up for your 401k, you just kind of like check the box. And the only thing that as the employee, when you're contributing money into your 401k, I have a feeling many people probably operate the same way that I did for so long, which is the only thing I was concerned with was how much I was contributing. Looking into the way that they are designed, allocated, the different, where things are, never really looked at that because I assumed that whoever it was on the other side that was kind of managing that stuff had my interest in what they were doing. But at the same time, I never talked to them. So how do they know anything about me, right? Which is one of the biggest reasons why people need to speak to someone like you, a financial professional, when it comes to these types of retirement accounts. What are some of those big mistakes, especially if you're someone like I was, where like you may look at the statement, but you don't even know what you're reading?
That it's funny you bring it up because what you just described, that's probably the biggest one I hear people talk about. They say something to the same effect over and over and over again. I signed up for that 401k. The problem is there really isn't anybody helping you pick those funds. Usually it's my friend Bob or my friend Betty that says, hey, I did this, this, and this. So they just do the same exact thing. And then the stock market takes a tumble and their balance goes down and they're freaking out. So then they sell out of those and go into a cash account. And now they've locked in a loss because they really just didn't know what they were doing to begin with. So yes, everyone's focus is how much do I get in? What's the percentage I'm putting in? But it's very important to understand what you're investing in. 401ks do have limited options. Some of those companies do have people behind the scenes that if you talk to them, they'll help you pick it out. A lot of them don't. A lot of them, you get a piece of paper or you online account. A lot of times at the beginning, it's a piece of paper. Check, send it in. You don't know anything. The average person doesn't know anything about those funds or those options that are available. And so they just pick something. And unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't turn out the way they would hope, or they don't get the returns they'd like, or it's more volatile. They get good returns, but it's all over the place and they can't stomach that. They don't like that.
Well, and I think for a lot of people too, you were talking about the paper statements, I'd get the one, used to be with Vanguard, for example, and you get this statement that comes in maybe once a quarter from Vanguard, and you've got all these pages of just stuff. And you've got to be someone who understands and works the algorithms to even understand what all of these things mean, because again, to your point, you don't even know what those investments are actually in necessarily. So there's no educated guess on what you could be doing differently. And for a lot of people, I was kind of this way where it's kind of like, well, I didn't even know how much control I had over my 401k plan. I thought it was just them on the other side who basically did all of the control. I got basically the answer to a question of how aggressive do you want to be? And that's it.
Yeah, right. It's a lot of people in those 401ks, they are completely on their own and they just don't understand what options to pick. And they'll lean on a friend. They'll some of them know what they're doing, and they do a pretty good job, that I run into. But most people they're very confused on where to go, what to do. And that's definitely you're talking about potentially one of your largest assets to generate income in retirement at some point down the road. You should put a little thought and understanding into that and get with somebody, whether that's with somebody behind the scenes, a friend that knows something about her, or somebody like myself, somebody in the industry of helping people pick different investments and things like that.
So here's a good question for you, Richard, as someone who works with people's retirement accounts, as a financial professional. I'm sure many people feel like, well, isn't that the purpose of me having a 401k? Isn't that a professional financial institution, so to speak? Why do I need someone else like yourself to look at that with me, to help me make decisions with that, when I thought that they pretty much did all that on their own?
They are instilling your money into the funds you select.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And that's as far as it goes.
That's as far as it goes. Unless you get on the phone with somebody behind the scenes, and not all of them have that option available. They may have a customer service department. Well, all of them are going to have some sort of customer service department.
Sure.
But customer service people are not necessarily financial advisors.
Professionals. Yeah.
They can tell you how to select it, but they can't really tell you what's it invested in, how's it done. They don't have that information. They don't have that knowledge. They don't have a license to explain that to you. They don't have the training to explain that to you. So that's probably a big misconception with 401ks right there that you pointed out, is a lot of people just assume that. And quite honestly, it's not a very good assumption. They are assuming you, the investor, is doing your due diligence. They have given you the options. Now you go do the due diligence and pick which ones are best for you.
What are some questions that people should ask when it comes to their 401k and how their money is invested? And I'm curious because I know that you've got certain tools at your disposal, right, that we as the consumer don't have. Are there questions that we should ask our 401k plan people, whoever it's invested with, as far as what tools they're working with?
When you are picking a fund in your 401k, number one, you want to know what area of the market. Is that a foreign fund? Is it a US-based fund? Is it a cash fund? Is it fixed? Is it going to just get a tiny little bit of return? Is it a bond fund? Right. How risky is that fund? So the segment of the market, how much volatility, what's its track record? Here's one a lot of people don't ask. What is the internal costs? You see, when you elect that fund, they have to send you out this prospectus, and it discloses all that information. You've already elected it, though, at that point, number one. Number two, the average person, let's just be honest, they don't read those things. People tell me all the time. They get those prospectuses in the mail, and they start flipping. If they even start flipping through it, maybe the very first time they invest, they start flipping through it. And they're like, this is like Chinese to me.
Well, that's the thing, is it you need an interpreter.
Yeah, exactly. So you need a tool that will help you dig in and look at what areas of the market can we put together several different funds to get across broad areas of the market. Can we do it inexpensively? Because some funds are going to cost 1 or 2% internally. Some are going to cost less than 0.5% internally. The more you spend, it's not necessarily bad to spend a fee if you're getting something for it, but sometimes you're just spending a fee to spend a fee.
Right.
And you could get a similar type of investment for a lot less cost. So looking at the investment, where it's at, what it costs, and then what its volatility is, and how is that going to be a fit for you? Right. Most 401ks aren't going to help you analyze your risk tolerance, your stomach, if you will, for the volatility of the market. I would say most people that are younger should be aggressive. I don't care what the volatility is. Consistently keep putting that money in over time. When it's down, you're just buying more shares. Correct. As you get near to retirement, you need to level off on that a little bit, I think, because you don't want to retire and your account's down. Yeah. But early on, I think that's less important. But some people are way, 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 way too conservative or way, way, way too aggressive at the wrong times just because they don't understand what they should be doing or even how that fits them.
Okay, so that's another part of it. If you have been, let's say you've been in your job for 25 years, you signed up 25 years ago for your 401k, you haven't said anything to whoever is managing that 401k for you. So it's basically doing the same exact thing it was doing 25 years ago. What's the difference in how that looks on what you're investing in compared to 25 years ago based off of where you are now in your life?
So let's just take two random dates. I'm going to use two examples here historically. Let's say you're in that 25-year range. You're getting near to retirement.
Yeah.
And it's 2008.
Okay.
The market took a huge dump in 2008. We saw 401k values drop. We saw personal investments drop.
Yeah.
A lot of people do tend to be more aggressive if they know what to pick or somebody gives them some advice. Pick this aggressive thing because it's going to get you returns over time. But if you're now retiring in 2008, you may have just lost almost half of your value, which if you give it time to come back, it came back.
But for some people, they may not have that time.
Right. Yeah. What if you needed to start spending that money?
Sure.
Versus what if you'd retired in 2019? The very end of 2019, right before the whole COVID thing started a few months later, the markets were at all-time highs. Everything was doing really, really, really well. You'd have been fine staying there. The problem is we don't know when that's going to happen. So the nearer you get to retirement, the more important is that you evaluate what is your allocation, how much risk you take, and how weighted are you in that risk. Maybe you've just got a little bit of money in high risk stuff. That's probably okay. But maybe you started doing something 25 years ago, like your example, and you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in this fund that is very, very volatile. And if we have a bad year in the market, it can dramatically impact how long your money is going to last, how much you can draw out, whether or not you can even retire. You may have to push retire off. A lot of people in 2008 had to push retirement off for a couple of years because they didn't have enough value. They had to let it rebound.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a tough pill to swallow, I'm sure, for a lot of people. So let me ask you this. When are people allowed, and I say allowed as if we have to, ask for permission, when are people allowed to kind of say, okay, now that I've come to talk to you, Richard, let's say, and your advice is for me to adjust how things are allocated as far as how aggressive or how conservative we are with the investments from our 401k. Like, can we just pick up the phone and talk to them and say, hey, can you switch it right now? I'm sure there's probably many people that they don't know the answers to these types of questions because, again, they just kind of, I know that I was contributing 12% of my salary every year. And so that's the only thing I knew.
That's a good question. I would say for the most part, they're going to be able to make an internal change anytime they want to.
Okay.
But there could be some plans that's not true. Most times when I'm reviewing that with a potential client, yes, if we need to make an allocation change inside of the plan, that's usually not a hard thing to do. Where we run into some trouble is sometimes people want things in the marketplace that don't exist inside their plan. That is one of the limitations and problems with 401ks is they're going to have a handful, maybe a couple of dozen different options that they can invest in inside that 401k. But outside that 401k, you have the entire world of availability of options that can go into an IRA. Okay. And this is really a lot of the reason a lot of people move their funds out of a 401k into an IRA when they retire at retirement, simply because there's more options. They can diversify better. They can find things that fit their specific need that wasn't inside that 401k. The IRS will usually allow most people to start doing things like that at 59 and a half.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
Some companies put other restrictions on it. So I run into sometimes where it's 62, it's 65. It's only at retirement. It really depends upon the type of plan and the rules that are set in place. And I've run into a few examples where you could even do it a little earlier. Those are rare, but you typically can always make changes inside. And sometimes those are very important changes to make to keep what you have for something that may be happening down the road.
Gotcha. It's interesting because you've answered so many questions right now that I'm sure so many people, I don't even know that they know to ask the questions, much less know what to do on the other side of the question to help make sure that retirement plan and moving forward is set up in the right direction for them. You just mentioned that part about, once you hit that 59 and a half, mark, I'm sure there might be people who are, hey, I'm 59 or I'm 60 years old. I've got this 401k. I'm still contributing the same way that I would as any other employee would. I know that for some people, you hit 60, even what you can put into it changes. You do have the catch-up rules at different points. But then also there's that situation of, okay, I'm 60 years old. I've been putting into this 401k. Am I allowed to take money out of that 401k at 60 years old, move it to maybe a Roth IRA or something like that so that I can help that tax offset down the road?
Those are all options, Jeff, that we look at in those situations. There's just a lot of things when you hit that stage of 59 and a half to 60 that you can look at as far as, are there allocations that are better for me outside of my 401k?
Yeah.
Is it starting to make sense to convert some of this 401k money that we've got this huge nest egg of pre-tax money that's never been taxed? Should we start dwindling some of that down to create a bucket of money that is tax-free that we can utilize maybe 10 years down the road or something to that effect in retirement? These are all things I would encourage you to look at, whether that's with us or with somebody, but sit down and look at, first off, how are you allocated in that 401k? What other options are there outside of that? Does it fit what you're trying to do? And a big question a lot of people have, which doesn't necessarily pertain to their 401k, but it's part of it, is can I retire and when? When will it be successful? And those can all be done in a very simple, non-threatening conversation that just kind of looks at your situation. How are you invested? Can we minimize some of this risk inside your plan? Can we look at other options outside your plan? Can we reduce your taxes down the road and just get more out of your money and maybe help you retire sooner? Most people would like to do that if they could.
Absolutely. A lot of people probably feel like, though, that they've got to wait until the last possible minute to retire because they're afraid that they're going to lose certain benefits, certain financial, especially because everything will affect Social Security at some point in time, and that kind of withdrawal pattern that happens. And, again, it's like you got to start planning for this stuff more than just, when you hit 70.
Right.
It's probably, the point where it's like, okay, it almost becomes the need more than want. And I think people should want to have someone like yourself look at their retirement portfolio all the way around.
Yeah.
But especially with these 401ks, and especially if you're still investing into that 401k, because laws change, your allocations that you may not know what's going on maybe need to change based off of the current economic situations that are happening. And, I do feel like a lot of people, they just kind of think that it's, there's that set it and forget it kind of a thing where, oh yeah, well, I contributed to my 401k. I should be fine.
Yes.
Money doesn't work necessarily like you think it does, in the sense of, if I just put money away, it's all going to be there when I finish, right?
Right.
It's funny because, we call this the Retirement Bullpen Podcast. And Richard, I would say that you're kind of like the manager right now. And as you look at a baseball game, for example, and you look at what's going on with your pitcher, right? Your pitcher kind of is that 401k right now. And we're getting into, it's the sixth inning and your pitcher has hit 100 pitches. He's getting tired. Now you're looking into the bullpen as far as, okay, which one of these pitchers is going to do the best job for me coming in the seventh inning? As opposed to, and listen, you got a closer that comes in the ninth inning, right?
Right.
So it feels like that, your retirement portfolio works the same way. And that 401k, if you are 65 years old, you may need to call the closer in, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, in baseball, it kind of depends upon what they've been seeing. You're going to want to change up based on that. You've been throwing a hard guy, maybe you throw a little softer. Been throwing a righty, you might want to come with a lefty. Depends upon who's coming up in the lineup, how they've hit. Same thing with retirement planning. It's like you've been utilizing this tool, and it's great for what it was designed for.
Right.
But there comes a point, mostly. Now, sometimes that starter can make it all 9 innings.
Yeah.
It's rare. Okay.
Right.
Most of the time, you've got to find some other tools or some other pitchers to come in and kind of finish that thing out. And I would agree. And you need to the only way you're going to figure that out is to evaluate what you have, where you're at, what's good, what's bad, what's that going to look like 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And that's really what our process helps people do, is go through and develop an understanding of what their situation does look like across the board, from allocations to taxes. How do we get the most out of Social Security? How do we put all that together so we can do what we really want to do in retirement and not worry about our money?
Right. And listen, if you're one of those people right now, you're listening, you're like, this is a lot more than I thought it was when it comes to just the retirement in general. But man, the 401k, I don't want to say it's super complicated, but it's more complicated than just putting away your money and hoping that the employer throws in 50% on top of that, it's probably a good time to reach out to Richard Warner and everyone at Warner Financial Solutions. The website is warnerfinancialsolutions.com. Again, warnerfinancialsolutions.com. You can reach out to Richard, set up a consultation, start looking at these things, start, making sure that things are set up the way that they should be. And Richard, you're going to check in with them on a regular basis as opposed to, again, your 401k, chances are you clicked a couple of boxes when you first got hired and you may not have heard much sense, or you get that statement in the mail and it doesn't really make sense to you. Like you said, it looks like it's, a different language, basically. You're the person that can translate all these things and people need to come see you.
Yeah, that it's very important to stay on top of that. You do not want to just sit on your 401k and forget about it. Your current advisor or somebody you're looking to get help from should be monitoring that. Even though they may not necessarily manage that account, they should be monitoring that and making sure your goals line up with what you're doing there. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing. So,
I mean, it's a 9-inning ball game. You may be in the 6th, 7th inning, and it's time to start looking at how to finish. And having the right person in your camp, having the right manager to look at that stuff for you is so important. Hey, this is the Retirement Bullpen. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, whether that's Apple or Spotify, maybe even YouTube. Make sure, because you'll get notifications on whenever we put new content out as far as your retirement. And listen, I think that right now, especially with, leading into an election year, leading into the fact that there seems to be a lot of things. I don't want to say that it's a volatility situation in the economy right now, but I'm sure that many people would see it as something we should be paying attention to, maybe a lot more than we are currently. So, Richard, always a pleasure to talk to you, man, and get your thoughts on things.
It's been great. Thanks, Jeff.
Insurance products are offered to the insurance business Warner Financial. Warner Financial is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Warner Financial are not subject to investment advisor requirements. NPN number 7617022. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be considered as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Warner Financial is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Warner Financial.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.